nos han traído en esta jornada de reflexión académica. En este instante se acercará a nosotros el conferencista que tendrá el honor de cerrar el ejercicio de la localidad de Kennedy en Bogotá. Me permito hacer algunas apreciaciones sobre su currículum vitae. Es líder social ambiental con experiencia en ecosistemas de humedal y cuencas hidrográficas.
He has acquired knowledge in the subject of environment and systematization of data applied to social networks. He has participated in some policy representative of the environmental entities. He has participated in the district planning, and he's part of the wetland network of Bogota and Savannah. The Professor Aya for the introduction, appreciating the Agustinian University that has invited me to share 25 years of struggle regarding environmental issues, generating achievements and challenges for Bogota. We have had the opportunity to have these learnings from the experience to speak about a wetland. 25 years ago, we started defending a neighboring wetland, El Burro, that has a lot of problems, and today my intention in this speech is to make you realize on the reach that we can have with our natural environment. So it is important to know them as a part of historical memory on a territory that not many people have spoken about. So they invite me to speak about the water, but let us imagine ourselves Bogota as a great lake, and it was product of the streams from Sumapaz, the mountains of Monserrate, Guadalupe, to the sector of Usaquén. So all these snow peaks created wetlands of the river Fucha, and another one, the river Salitre, and river Torca, that is the Van der Hamen. These four rivers fed this glacial that existed 25,000 years ago. It was inhabited by the Muiscas, and the Muisca had the Chibcha language. It is a linguistic microfamily that exists from Argentina to Nicaragua, and this Chibcha language, in the case of the Muiscas, it was known like Mishkubun, or the word Muisca. Muisca means to be a person, and this Muisca, known as a warrior or huache, that is used respectively, they lived with a spouse. The spouse is called Gisa. Gi, the shine of the earth, and Sa, the shine in the earth at night. Gisa, Guachi, Guachi, Gisa, to have a virgin daughter that was called Gul, earth, Chan, Guaricha, a princess that is virgin, and Guachi and Isa, they had a daughter, and they went for Uchuba and Gua, the bean, the fruit of the earth. They fish, the captain fish, that is Neute. They went for eggs and ducks, and they depend on this wetland. But that great lake had some indigenous organization. So, in the gods, the Uva, they called the cacique Tiva, and Tiva had a sacred lake that was Tiva Buyes, and Tiva went to hunting to Fakata Tiva, and the Tiva went to hunt to Enga Tivat. So Suba, there was a cacique that went to hunt in Fakata Tiva, and he lived in the wetland Kaboke, that means the earth of abundance, and he had a territory that is Fontibon, that the real name is Huentiva, paying homage to Cacique Entiva. After this Entiva, we had this municipality that the name is not Kennedy, and a gringo, an American, came with a project, the construction of the roundabouts, and then it changed the name of the municipality, that the name was Techo, and it was governed by a woman that it was called Tinisa, and they taught the children how to sew. So this head of the Aborigines, they lived in the neighborhood Chukwa, which is the Muisca word to say wetland. You say the Chukwa of the rabbit, the Chukwa of the Tibabuyes, and the word Chukwa means breast, trementine fish, source of water, wetland. Chukwa in the Muisca has 7 acceptions, and many of them we don't know. So after Techo, we have a territory that is called Bosa. Ata, Bosa, Mima, Rizka. Bosa is number 2 because why? Because the half of Bosa belonged to Busa, Tuva, and Tiva, and Soacha. Son, Soacha, the guy of the sun. So after Techo, they have Bosa, Soacha, and Kasuka. Then we have Muisca. And we go in a circle to Usminia, that you call Usme. Usminia was the daughter of Bochica from the warrior chiefdom, and you called it San Cristobal, but it is called Kiwake. It was part of the chiefdom from Tiwake, and there is a hamlet in San Cristobal, and after the mountain of the father and the mother, where they got the mother of Guadalupe, and there is another territory called Teusaca, that you call Teusaquillo, then Itzaquén, or the sector that you call Usaquén. Itzaquén, I am you, you are myself. So many words from the Muisca language that we use daily and we don't know it. We don't know Chato, that is a guy, a dog. It is the same situation. So how come I live in Chico and I don't know that Chico is my future, my support, my son? Chiiko, the guy, the little guy. Chiika is a tender way to say my daughter. So today we say that Cucho is lake, and Cucha is a lake, feminine lake. So how come daily we use these terms that we do not know what they mean? When those children, they say, Mom, I have chi-chi, and they don't know that chi is shiny, and chi, so it is shiny shine. So when they drank chipcha, cha is male, and so chicha is man that is happy. So chicha. Then we create a changuita. There is when we start speaking about the language tradition. So cresta is a culture, Mohican culture. So we didn't know that this was a haircut that from, and we tattoo. We don't know that the tattoo went from the Japanese killers. So what is going on with the education? Maybe our history started 500 years ago with the Spaniards, or before we had nature, and the tree was sacred and the river was sacred. It was so sacred, the liquid that Mother Muisca, when they were 9 months of pregnancy, they went to the rivers. They look for a wetland with the iced water, and they got their limbs dumb so that they could labor in this ice water. So that's why we had the goddess of water. So the culture Muisca, is it the only culture of water in the earth? Chia is the moon because it comes every 28 days, and the period of women is every 28 days. That is the exact calendar. So the Aztecas, the Muiscas, the Incas, they had an alphabet of vigesimal code with the paleotegri. That is an alphabet with letters that symbolizes numbers, mathematical alphabet. So they have this exact calendar, is 3 months of 28 days, and not the Gregorian one. They told us some 30 months, 30 days, 31 days, 28 days. Maybe we are learning, or maybe we need to learn how to unlearn and decolonize our thought. So in this territory of Techo, we have a monument that is called Flags, many flags. It is a monument to the Americas, and it is a sculpture of Alonso Neira Martinez, who wanted to highlight the role of women as the support of the nations, of the families, because they are warriors, because the Muisca culture, they rule women. We are matrilineal, so we do not, the heritage, the will doesn't go to the son of the chiefdom, of the Aboriginal chiefdom. So man is wind, fire, and earth. We men are wind. If I give you 15 million, the first thing you buy is a motorcycle, Kawasaki. So we are fire, we're wind. Those same 50 million, I give it to a woman, the first thing they buy is a home, is a house, because they are earth, they are family, they are home. In the Muisca culture, the last name of the mother goes first than the last name of the father. So when she was 9 months pregnant, she went to the river Fucha. Fucha means male, female. And Fucha, the river of the female, the Muiscas went for labor work. So the river Tunjo, the little figures of gold mixed with copper, offered to the lakes, the river Tunjo, and Fucha is Tunjo is a river to pay deeds, and Tunja is a river for labor work. So the other river is Torca, the Lord of Strength. So here in Bogota, before this name, the name was Bacatá, but before Bacatá, the name was Muiquetá. Mu, the Muiscas. Eke cultivo, and ta first crop of men. After that, they call it Bogota and then Bacatá. Do you teach that in the schools? Because Father Saigua generated the Salto de Tequendama, the springs of Tequendama, and he flooded all the lake, the great diluvio. And Chipchacón is the god of rain. When the savannah was flooded, Chipcha appeared, and Chipchacón, because they flooded the Muiscas, he was condemned to bear the planet in the shoulders, and you call it Atlas. And they call it Adan and Eva. And here is Ba, God, Chue. Chue is breast, the goddess of the breast that lived in the lake of Iguaque, the lake of the origin, with the children 3 years old that grows, gets married, and they receive the Muisca world. So when they became older, elderly, they became serpents, and they came back to the lake. How come the serpent is not a symbol of the evil and eating the apple, but it is the symbol of the river in the Aztecs, the Muiscas, and the Incas? So how come the serpent with feathers, the river Magdalena, is the river Yuma? The river Bogota is called Funza. When God walks at night, Sumapaz, the highest steep of the planet, because we have 46% of the steeps of the world. Sumapaz is not that name, it is Fu, God, Su, road, and Gua, earth, Fusungua, Sumapaz. Here in Bogota, we have Muisca chiefdoms, Bosa, Usme. In Bosa we have Chihuazuque, Neutatunjo, Oroaco. In Usme we have the Tautiva, the Chauchawa. So how come we are part of that historical memory in Bogota? And how we can start speaking about water if we don't know that 120 flags of the monument in the Americas are the countries invited to the conference, Pan American Conference, that when we had the first airport, and Mundoventura was the site for the race of horses, and in the 40s we had Bavaria, and in the 73 we had Abastos, and the growth of the western sector, and they started organizing land that was a former lake where there was the taint and the dye for painting the clothes, for the feathers also, Fontibon, Ayuelos. Do you know that Ayuelos is the male leaf of coke? The female leaf of coke is the mountain range of Santa Marta, but the Muisca said Ayuelos, Ayo, in Fontibon. So are we Britney, 50 Cent, Eminem? Are we that? Or we are Muiscas of Chibcha language with family in Boyacá, but with our cheeks are out and our eyes are deep. So the Chibchas, they say, you have a mozo. Mozo comes from the sun, moza is the attractive woman. You have a moza, and nobody knows what moza means. But sua mozo, the men of the sun, they were taller and strong, and Muiscas, you think they are short. No, we had tall Muiscas, and here from the temple of Chia they were shorter, darker in the skin, and the leaders that generated the Empire Muisca from Santander to Cundinamarca, we started to understand that we are part of a historical memory of a territory that has been ignored, and we had 63 million native people and they killed 46 million indigenous. And we get hype with the numbers of the First and the Second World War. The first genocide of the history of humanity was to overpass a culture, and they depended on water. So it is sad to see a planet with a hydrical deficit, with a supply that is short, to have a population equivalent to 3,500 million people with the restricted use of soft water in a planet that I don't know why is it called planet, because it is not plain. So we found 25% of earth, 75% of water, and the body is the same, made of 75% calcium and 25% water, blood, drops, saliva, and we have a proportionality and synchronization with the planet. Maybe we do not understand that today, from this resource available of water in the planet, we need to take advantage of the 3% that is the water. Salty water we need to desalinize, and it is corrosive, and it is a process that is costful. Do we understand that that 3% is divided into first 1% ice, the north and south poles? Let us melt the water, and we will augment 6 meters in the shore, so we cannot play with that water. The underground water, the greatest reserve is shared with Colombia, Venezuela, and is called the International Cuenca of Orinoco. Now they say that they are going to say a fracking, perforating 4 kilometers underground, injecting water with 400 chemicals, poisoning the underground waters, and they say that it's irresponsible fracking and it is viable. When Colombia is one of the zones with the greatest underground reserves of water in the planet. And who is taking here the water? The crops of the savanna? How much water is being taken to the United States in flowers? So when we start saying this iced water, freeze water needs to be quiet because the flood will augment. So this underground water, we need to preserve it because we will guarantee the survival in the future. And this superficial water, rivers, lakes, tell me if you can drink the water from the Bogota River, this 1%, what is the percentage of pollution that we have in this 1% of the waters, surface water? So it is funny when I tell you that we drink water from Bogota River because Bavaria worked here in Kennedy, but Bavaria was taken out because it had 4 wells over exploiting the underground water. There was no cement or pavement that could hold the transportation, so Bavaria was told to please go away from Kennedy. Bavaria packed his things and they went to Planta Leona in Tocancipá, and there they take water from the Bogota River with heavy metals, with sewage from Suezcas, Esquileta, Canchipá, Tocancipá, Chocontá, Chía. This sewage water, they purified with the technology of German membranes, and they sell the Poker and Ponimalta, this brand. Did you know that you drink water from the river, Bogota River? When I tell you, let us drink water from the Bogota River, it is funny, but we at this moment are drinking water from the Bogota River. So with sewage and cyanobacteria, you don't know the 4 sailings that I have done in Villapinzón from the outlet of Girardot. You do not imagine. The river is clean, 0 degree of pollution, a lot of flora and fauna from 233 kilometers. When it gets Villapinzón, you have 300 chemicals. Then you have sewage from Suezcas, Esquileto, Cancipaga, Chancipá, Chía, the thermopower plant, and there's Chía, million of inhabitants in Chía that are pooping in the river. And you have Bogota, 9 million inhabitants pooping in the river. So we see after that in Mosquera how you get a hose of 7 inches, take water from Bogota River with a pump, and they spray crops, and then you take lettuce and broccoli from this water and heavy metals that create a pancreas cancer. And I understood. Do you understand why the stomach cancer boosted in Bogota yesterday? Did you see that 5 tons were going to be traded in Bogota. So the crops are sprayed with this water that have heavy metals, and the cow eats this. You have a tumor, and when you have the tumor, they kill this cow, and this meat is sold in Bogota. So I have sailed these rivers 4 times. I have produced 3 documentaries. The recent one that some people have been, I, I have presented, I have screened it, but here in the Agustiniana, I screened my documentary with Camilo Torres, Agustinian. I had the opportunity to share in this auditorium the documentary, and when we were seeing the documentary, I saw people crying, and they said, we are leaving the print on the memory of our rivers. So to find this data, difficult data like this one, 70,000 million human beings for 2018, we will reach 8,000 million humans in a planet, 0.3% of water, drinkable water, because 3% is drinkable, then 1% is in the surface. That 1% is so polluted that 0.3% is drinkable. So do you understand why every 8 seconds a child dies for the lack of water? So we do not understand that MasterChef celebrities in Guajira, 14,000 children died in La Guajira these last years. To take this river that is born in Santa Marta, Rancheria River, that provides water to 70,000 Wayu indigenous for human consumption, and they deviated the river for a pond, and they left 70,000 indigenous people without water. So what are you speaking about? Oh, the limitation of the steep Santurban. The Society of the Mining of Santander, that is a lie. Abdallah is a multinational of the Arab Emirates. The liquid heritage asset has $70,000 million. So now they want to go below and generate 5,000 kilometers on the water of mining exploitation, get these heavy trucks. You see only the tire of these heavy trucks is a second floor. So they are going to leave 7 rivers dry, and they supply Bucaramanga. They're going to leave 15 municipalities without water. Or we go to Boyacá, the seismic explosions to extract the oil before Tota. So there are 3 lakes under the Andes. The second one is Tota, and the third one is Cocha, because Titicaca is the first one, the biggest one. They are internationally important, but Tota hasn't been declared of international importance because the trout farming, no. It is not that. It is because they want to get below the wells of Bachue and Chica. It is lack of respect to name these wells with mythological names, and they're going to leave these people without water because they want to take water from below, and they found a reservoir of lithium under the thermal, and they granted 3 mining tenders, to leave Paipa without thermals, no restaurants, no hotels, no economy, no crafting, no handcraft. So what are we thinking of with this country? 2017, 219,740 hectares. In 2017, you take those 19,000 and you divide it into 65 days, and a day they are clearing 603 soccer field of native forest in Colombia are being cleared. So now we don't have the guerrilla, and now they didn't go into this area because of the guerrilla. Now there is no guerrilla, and you cannot imagine the amounts, the numbers in the Ministry of Environment regarding clearance of the forests of the country. We are losing the Amazon 64%. So which are the challenges today? To allow fracking? Then these are the challenges, this is the discussion, and they tell us that the wars in the future are going to be due to the water. In the past, Israel came to Palestine with their peace, 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 peace. They got Palestine out, and they made the owners of the steppe that had water, and you say that the wars in the future it is because of water, but the wars in the past were due to water too, and now the uh, World Organization of Trade, it says that we can live without oil, yes, without gas, yes, but without water, we cannot live without water. So it is important for life, for health, public health. We cannot allow that water is considered merchandise when it is an asset, because it is a fundamental human right. But here we have companies who sell water, the Swiss, and they say that water, on the director of Nestlé, that it is a merchandise, an asset in a planet where every second children die because of lack of water. So the conditions of production of feed. So Alejandro exaggerates 135 liters of water for an egg. Okay, so this little hen became a chick, and then a complete hen, and then they take 150 liters. So a coffee, 140 liters. So we have breakfast, let us have lunch. Rice, meat, potato, and banana. Potato, 180 liters at night, and the children, they are on diet. They eat a very big hamburger, all-terrain hamburger, 2,400 liters for one hamburger. A day we are consuming, this is the hidden water, 3,000, 5,000 daily liters of water per person. So we need a digestion process. So that digestion process, obviously, the body takes 75%. So we are wasting 2 pounds daily, approximately. Maybe the children here, the boys in the Agustinian University, they don't poop too much. So 1 pound of residue daily. So in 30 years, 5 tons, 400 kilograms, 50 years, 9 tons. Your grandmother of 80 years old, 400 kilograms of water. We do not know that you pay a system that is water, cleansing, and sewage. The sewage needs to have a previous treatment before they dispose it to the river, to the wetland. All the Bogota River doesn't flow, but it crawls. So this we multiply by 9 million people in Bogota in a house. The mother, the visit, the block, the locality, the city, and we give the back to the river. The river flooded Patio Bonito, flooded Bellavista, 6th of December 2011, flooded Tierra Buena, 14 residential condominiums with sewage to the chest. And what happens with their refrigerators, the shelters, the washing machines, and we blame the river when we invade the wetland in the Tintal, the wetland of the Burro, to build all those projects. Tintal Norte, Calendaima, Tintalá, Patio Bonito. Do you know that Patio Bonito is the most inhabited zone in Latin America? So what are we speaking about? Many times I laugh, but it is, it is a concern because it is this sanitary dump, 6,400 tons a day, is a Colpatria Tower every day in dumping. So we deposit the white bag, and what is the green bag, the black bag, the red bag. So the red bag is for hazardous residues, and the white one is for the recyclable. The ordinary waste is for the black bag. So what is the problem of a sanitary dump? So we need an environmental license to handle Maria Juana, the dumpster. So this company of cleansing, and how many trucks do they need, how many workers they need, how much you need for a tendering, and you go to the dumpster, and there is a neighborhood that is called Mochuelo, and if they don't have the little rat below the door, then you have other different kinds of rats, and the flies laying eggs in the eyes of the cattle. So the children there with respiratory acute diseases because of the problems of the dumpster, they generate respiratory acute diseases. What are we doing? Did you know that Bogota has 18,000 families that are recycling? So it is a social responsibility. We can organize the recycling of the university that is handed out to the cooperative of recyclers. So that woman at 4 p.m., victim of violence, displaced, she takes the carriage every night to look into the garbage of the rich people, to provide with support to the children who live surrounding the rivers. So that is the reality of, do you know Kennedy? 1,300,000 inhabitants and declared in a hazardous environmental problem. So in Techo also, El Burro, thanks to this guy who is 25 days working now, we have giant wetlands, and the dogs are flying, the children in the library from Monday to Friday with an official of the Secretary of Environment, and teaching them to that we do not need to kill the frogs and the animals in the wetland, but it is polluted, this wetland, and we had to grow frogs apart from separated away from the wetland, because this frog is killed by the algae that grows here in the wetland. And the neighbors complained because they said that we had these frogs growing there and they bothered these neighbors. So now we take the children to see how this poop is in the river. So Colombia is a country with the biggest percentage of wetlands in the world, and we pay the most expensive water in Latin America because of the corruption of Odebrecht with the interceptors of the Bogota River. And what happens with the sewage system that is not operating? This is Bogota, people. Please do not misunderstand this. The red part is the south of Bogota. It's called 20 de Sumatas locality. It has 26 hamlets. Ciudad Bolívar has 9 hamlets, de Unicas, Pataticos, Pasquilla, Pasquillita. So, Usme, Dual, Requilina, Tabaco. So how come Usme had 14 hamlets, Ciudad Bolívar has 9 hamlets, and the Guadalupe Monserrate mountains and Suba, the hamlet Chorrillos, where they want to develop projects of housing of Banderjamen. So they're going to get 500,000 houses without a residue plant when we are trying to clean the river. So we need to transport 500,000 tons of waste, clogging the traffic in Boyacá Avenue. So where are you going to take this drinkable pressure to guarantee this city's drinkable water? That you're going to continue putting pressure in the wetlands of Chingasa to build a city. So let us go to Bosa and let us build strata 1 and 2 and take this territory from the Aborigines and build social interest, living and housing. When the Bogota and Tonjuelo River, they flood them, then there is no problem. Poor people, let us get them in those flood risk critical zones. So the water orders the territory. This one here is the south point of Bogota, because here is a limit with Venecia, Cabrera, a road that goes to Funza, Pasca, Fusagasugá. Here you have the south point, and there is the north point in Usaquén and Suba. The center of Bogota lays here. So Kennedy is the 8th locality, is the north, in the north of Bogota. Then you say the University of the South and the poor people of the schools of the South, and nobody knows that the center of Bogota is not the Plaza Bolívar and the Chorro de Quevedo, the Spring of Quevedo, is the lake called Los Tunjos, because Bogota has steep, high steeps, low steeps, because it has Mequetá, the first sanctuary of flora and fauna, Vaca Grande. So how come Bogota has 3 sanctuaries of flora and fauna and we don't know any of them? But Boca Grande, the steep wetland, 75% of Bogota is rural, 25% is urban. If you realize in this 25% is urban, 75% is rural. So we see some images of the rurality of the wetlands. This is the center of Bogota. Here is born the Tunjuelo River, and here is 0 point where I had the opportunity to be the rural manager of district planning. I worked in the district in the Ministry of Environment. Then I was the most voted leader in the district prize, national prize, and we continue growing. But the problems of the city, you don't know it with the head, but with the feet. So I had to walk the 360 lakes that we have in Bogota. So I can say that I know Bogota. Oh, you say, I know Bogota because I went to the mall. So reality is that this is the center of Bogota where the Tunjuelo River is born, the Panamento River is born. The forests, the crabs of the river in Bogota, the ecosystem of the Andean lizard, monitoring of the birds in wetlands, the real hawk, the fly colibri, this mirla. You see, how do you know if it is male or female? So if you touch it and she's happy, is a female. Well, the male have a ring in the eye, so these are the female. They don't have the ring in the eye. So when you are in a park, look at the eye and you'll see if it is male or female. So those things we teach the children in the schools, that these animal, we have some babies, and we believe that we do not need to extract the rock in the rivers for the mining. We need to live with nature. It is good to go from the Agustiniana to the river, get the fish and say, Mom, please prepare this fish I caught. So living with fauna, with flora. Let's see Bogota. This is Kennedy. The only green spot is when children go out of the school. But reality is different. You, in the cement, is stressed, you get bored, the eyes are irritated, you have a headache. not only because of the stream of the Tunjuelo River gets all the cloud of pollution of Fontibon and is gathered here in Kennedy, and Kennedy has a plaza that transports 12,000 tons of feed with very bad trucks that drop sulfur in the air. That now Kennedy, that is why Kennedy is in environmental problems. And that headache, that irritation in the eye, those environmental conditions, I think the fingerprint we need to order ourselves. From the Burro, here is the Tintal Library. This is the avenue of Ciudad de Cali. There you have the San Agustiniana. We have 20 hectares, and we placed a filtering and residue system. This is the trap, the system, and you have better quality of the water. We removed 73 cubic meters of waste. It was a plant of transfer of a dumpster. That is why it has the ramp, because the trucks come here to drop the waste. That is why we had Gibraltar dumpster before we had Doña Juana. So how come these neighborhoods grew over the waste? In this high part, we got the waste out, we treated the water, and in this wetland of El Burro, when women were abused sexually, and they dumped waste, I sued the government, and we placed a wall in a wetland, and we have vigilance, surveillance, 24 hours surveillance. We generated sylvester forest fauna. We planted trees, and if you're an adult person, you should plant 30 trees. So have you planted your 30 trees? People, you defend what you love, and you love what you know. So we need to start valuing and preserving this. We have been working for 25 years now. I started when I was 13 years old. I was a pupil from Nicolás Ezquerra, and I have planted all these trees. I did the guide of the Conejera. So I need to mention Germán Galindo, and he said, oh, you know about the birds and the muiscas, please do a guide, make a guide for the students. And I wrote the guide. When I finished my conference, I was 14 years old, and they said, go to the office, and we're going to pay you. Oh, they're going to pay for the guide I made. And they gave me a plant. Oh, you're very nice, you gave me a plant. So I passed over here, and I went to the library. I got tools, and I planted this plant. Today is a tramontana, a tree of 24 meters. So when we say that alchemia is possible in a place where we have a debt, or the plastics of one use as straws, disposable glasses, they should not be foam anymore. If I got the bags that are produced in a planet in 1 minute, and we tie them all, it would give 7 rounds to the planet. All that plastic, 60 million barrels of oil were avoided in China when they banned the plastic bags. So are we in the conditions of start banning those practices? The bullfighting, for example, understand that life is only one and it deserves respect in all the extension. Now, in the Congress of the Republic, as a counselor for the Chamber of Representatives, I appreciate this invitation, and I hope that we understand this. Thank you very much. I think there is a lot of learning that Alejandro has shared with us, and to not to close this abruptly, we are going to do a session, make a session of 2 questions due to the time. Let us let 2 people from our audience to make any question to Alejandro if you would like to go deeper regarding this information he has provided us with. If you can pass all the USB pen drive that you have in the brain. That book that we wrote, it was this book. I have some physical books and digital books. Environmental history of the wetlands. It was because we sued the district because of the harm they caused the wetland El Burro. Now we have some money to generate these 7,000 pieces of this book that are now in the private schools and public schools. So we have a digital version and physical versions. Other editions that we have in the documentation centers and libraries, but we believe that alchemy is possible simply from our consciousness, from our behaviors, from our feelings. We can provide the best for the planet. We had documentaries, books, we are working in congresses for the testing in animals for the cosmetic use. We are now trying to struggling against the bullfight. They apply many chemicals to this full bite, and we believe that is culture. And that is not culture to teach children to be violent. I think we need, now we have the system Colombia free of fracking, and now we are going to see how we ban this plastic, and we have a lot of challenges for the countries. So this book, I will give it to you through León, to the library, and through the deans of the university, some of them digital, some of them physics, so that you can know this text that we share for Bogota. So I don't know if any other question. Oscar Jimenez, to ask you about the rivers that are passing through the city. We see all these sewage waters. Do they have a treatment? How do they do it? There are several techniques. There is ionized bubbles that are in charge of raising the organic charge, and through a grid they are taking this out. And also they inoculate bacteria to biodegrade the organic charge. Also dry fluvial waters, the water rain with residues in Bogota. Here we mix it with, those are mixed waters, so that is the industrial and residential waters and rainwater. So today we have improvement and cleansing river of Bogota that to intercept those waters before they get to the river, 26 meters on the ground, and take this water to a treatment plant in Alicachín. This, we have been working for 20 years speaking about the Bogota River cleansing. Neto Franco, director of the CAR, he has taken this task in the CAR. There is bureaucracy, corruption, but at least they bring this machinery to clean the lakes, to do investments in the wetlands of Neusa, Gualí, in Funza, Gualí, Tres Esquinas, Tierra Blanca, and wetland Maiporé. We believe that the task, if it is possible, it is a little delayed because now we should have canoas working since 2017, and we are now 2018, and there is no financial closing. So we're hoping with this compass to see the viability for the building. We have signed a covenant agreement with the car to this premise acquisition. So they are going to start to build. So, well, we are going forward. Good morning. Quickly, you know all the problem that we have here in the municipality, but I would like to know if you can inform how is this issue on Bavaria, this loan that we had with Bavaria, because we had two loans, Itimisa and Bavaria. Now, please, can you tell us about these two? Well, from district planning, there is a partial plan that is approved to develop urban. There is a deficit of 60,000 houses, and Bavaria is going to be built. Because they wanted to build a Simon Bolivar, but the commercial value goes over 24 million per hectare, 73 hectares, so there is no resources in Bogota to acquire that premise. Thank you very much, and see you next time. So, as Alejandro Torres, environmental leader, that he knows all these problems that we have in our capital, it is important that we continue working on these elements, and that there is no only space to think of these problems that belong to our city, the high resources that we have in this beautiful city that belongs to us and to nobody at the same time. To finish this activity in the framework of who is the mentor of the institutional philosophy, we give the word to Father Enrique Guiarte, who is going to introduce the last work that he has published. Father, welcome. Alejandro. Good afternoon. I appreciate the presentation once more, and to close this Congress of Environment, I would like to introduce my last book. It is a privileged space to do it, and despite the fact that the topic is not precisely regarding the environment, it is more the Saint Agustinian issue on the life, Christian life, and the human beings in the planet. I would like to introduce the book. The book is called Nothing Without You. It is a title taken out, a phrase of St. Augustine that reminds us that we ourselves cannot do anything. So the human being with their own capacities can do everything. So St. Augustine reminds us that without the grace of God we can not do absolutely anything. So the title comes from nothing without you, everything with you. So it gathers, the book is thought that we leave a culture that we don't have a plan for nothing, we go running from one side to another. And this presentation I want to be brief. So we don't have time for many things, so I offer in this book a series of thoughts for every day of the year. First, we have a thought, introductory thought, when I take elements of the culture in the world that we live, the literature, music, apply to the text of St. Augustine. And second place, we have a text for St. Augustine to think in the day, because the Word of God was the lamp that inspired St. Augustine. So I offer for every day a text of the Bible, and finally a series of questions to get to reflection regarding the subject that we present for every day. The book can be read many ways, horizontally from the first page to the last one, but it is a book, as Cortázar said in a famous book, Rayuela. It can be taken every day, one thought, any thought, in a totally accidentally way to make this thought, to have this thought any day. So Cortázar wanted that this novel, Rayuela, was cut and the pages were loose. So placed these pages in furniture that had many drawers, and he said the reading of the work was to open a drawer and read one page, open another drawer and read another page. According to Julio Cortázar, all the work would make sense. I don't say that the work that I'm presenting now is similar to Julio Cortázar's work, but the same intention. Thoughts can be independently done, one each day. You can jump from page to page. Yeah, I offer 6 thoughts in a row to be done in a week, through a month, or maybe a whole year. It is a work that, thanks to God, was published with the Agustiniana editorial house. We have an alliance with the São Paulo editorial house. São Paulo has published 5 works in the Agustinian University, and now not only in this economical academic atmosphere, but also in the Agustinian atmosphere for a first ecology, that is the ecology of the heart. That I think the name of the Agustinian thought can be shared in every kind of person. It is a work that is not scientific, it is more spreading, so it is a simple work. What we want in the Agustiniana is, with this project, with the São Paulo editorial house, is that people lose the fear to Saint Augustine. Saint Augustine is presented as a PhD, the doctor of the church, and the students fear him. So this is a simple, friendly, easy to read work, and it helps to create this ecology of the heart, to really have an exterior ecology. We told before that without the inner ecology we cannot have an outer ecology. So in the end of the Congress, I wanted to present this book, and it is outside if you are interested in purchasing, buying 5 books that we have issued, we have published with Uni Agustiniana and São Paulo. If you would like to ask about anything, I will be outside and will share with you this book, and I appreciate that you have launched this book in the closing of this Agustinian Congress of Environment and the Current World. Thank you very much. It is the moment now to appreciate all of you, your attendance, to accept our invitation to participate in this 9th Congress, International Congress of Augustinian Studies and Environment for 2018. Now we have the invitation to prepare to the 10th Congress that, if the wills God, will be in our auditorium, Fray Andres San Nicolas. An appreciation, special appreciation to all the speakers, Professor Donham Scott, that is here with us from Canada, our environmentalist guest, Andres Torres, Father Enrique Guiarte, and Professor Molano. Also, Alejandro. It's the emotion, it is I'm hungry now. The different people who attended in the Agustinian lines, environmental lines, social and environmental lines. Thank you for believing in this project, where many people are part of, interested in spreading the thought of Augustine, current, that is also current, as many our speakers have said. Cristovisión, the team of media of the Agustinian Center that has supported of the Vice Rectory of Investigations, the Communication Center, and all the people whom I cannot mention that have materialized the dream of continuing thinking on the Augustinian text. So we invite you to walk in the way out. You will see some of the works that he has launched with Juan Paulo editorial house, and we have a present, small present for you in the lobby. Thank you very much and have a happy afternoon.